When asparagus are in season, I just love to celebrate them. And this I'm going to give a bit of a breakfast feel to it. So I've got some speck, some egg, and some crispy breadcrumbs. Now, before we get onto our asparagus, let's get the speck straight into the pan because I want to render down some of the fat. So we don't want the skin, we just want to really thinly cut that off. But we do want the fat because that is going to flavour our gorgeous crumbs. So we'll just take off this little bit here. I love speck because it's smoky, it's salty, and it goes so nicely with really any type of veggie. So we'll cut that into little pieces. Don't want it to be too chunky. And if you can't find speck, don't worry, you can still do this with bacon, or even pancetta is really delicious as a substitute. All right, that's looking good. Now, I don't want to add this to a pan that's hot because what happens is it seals it off and it won't render away that fat. We really want that fat. So we start with a cold pan. In it goes, spread it all out, and then we'll turn it on to a medium to low heat. We'll keep an eye on it and be quite patient with it. Once we start to get a bit of the fat in there, then we can add some butter and some other fun ingredients. All right, straight on to our asparagus. These beautiful spears, I've just used a peeler just to peel off the woody ends, and then you're left with the tender stalk. So I just like to line them all up, our asparagus, and after you've peeled them, just that last bit of woodiness, we're just going to trim the base. So just a very small amount that we're wasting. The rest is totally edible, particularly when they're this tender. So I've got some rapidly boiling water. To this, a good pinch of salt. We do want to season our asparagus, and you can do this in a pot, but I always find when you've got a pan that's quite deep like this, you can add a lot of asparagus at a time and they cook really evenly because they're so long like this. In they go. You just want to submerge them. Right, we'll leave our asparagus to cook for a moment and look at this speck. See how the fat has started to render out. It smells fantastic. So we can hit it with a little extra virgin olive oil, a small amount, but I want a buttery flavour to this. So we want about 10 grams of butter, and I like to add it with that oil so it doesn't burn, but it does foam up. To this, we're going to add a few handfuls of our breadcrumbs. So these are fresh breadcrumbs. You can use panko breadcrumbs if you like. I like these because I've always got some leftover bread at the house and it's a great way to use it up. So we're going to toss this and we're going to keep an eye on it. We don't want it to burn, we want it to go golden brown. So there's a few things happening here, but it will all come together. Asparagus, they're cooked to my liking, so on a plate, a bit of paper towel, and we'll just take them out. Don't forget they're going to keep cooking because they're so hot. If you want to stop the cooking really fast, just pop them into some iced water. Okay, the last thing we need to do is cook our egg. I'm going to serve this with a poached egg. So I've got some water that's just come up to the boil. For a poached egg, we need to add a splash of white vinegar. Really fresh egg. And what I like to do with my egg is to crack it into a bowl first. Now, by doing that, we've just got a little bit more control. So we'll crack that in. And we'll just start a bit of a whirlpool. Take your spoon out, and then we'll just lower that in to the whirlpool. And you see all of that egg white sort of twirl around the egg yolk, and that's going to poach perfectly. We'll give that about 3 minutes, and that gives us enough time to finish these crumbs. So you can hear they're just starting to go crispy. They need a bit longer, and then I'll drain it on some paper towel. Right, we have our 3 components ready. So to plate this up, we'll grab a generous handful of our asparagus. They're still warm, which is how I like to serve this. And the egg can go on next. Just let it sit there. And our crunchy speck breadcrumbs, that smells so good. I can smell the butter, just delicious. We just top it with that. And because this is actually quite rich, what I like to do is finish the whole lot with a little lemon zest. So zest over the top. Oh, that is just such a delicious dish. And there's no sauce or creaminess to it, but there actually is, because as soon as you cut into this egg, that gooey egg yolk forms a delicious, almost cheese-like sauce. So let's cut into that. Ooh, and that's what we're after. Gorgeous gooey egg, perfectly set egg whites. That is a delicious breakfast, but let's be honest, it's good for lunch or even dinner.